everyone, my name is Mr. Froggy, and welcome to my top 10 games of the year. Now, before I start this, I've done one since like 2015. I even did one for 2014, so I just want to say this now. A lot of the games that are going to be on here, not necessarily a lot, but some of the games that are going to be on here, you're not going to agree with. There's going to be quite a few games this year that I never played that you're going to say it deserves to be on here, right? So I'll just put some honorable mentions here. Titanfall 2, which I actually just recently got and I've been playing a lot. I heard that was really great, and from what I've played, it is really great, so I just felt like putting that one on. Also, Far Cry Primal is in the honorable mentions just because it wasn't a huge change, which it didn't bother me that much. I really enjoyed Far Cry Primal for what it was, and the setting was cool. The story not being nearly as good as Far Cry 3 or 4 kind of held this game down a little bit, and that's why it didn't really make my Game of the Year list. But nonetheless, still a really great game to play. So those are just my two honorable mentions I have so far. And yeah, let's get into the list.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
WWE 2K17. Every year the WWE games keep doing more to impress me. I find myself enjoying it more and more every year. This one felt different, whereas most years it feels like a slight change. This year it felt like there's a ton of changes and improvements to the actual game. And so many features that were added in it are game changers to what you've been used to, such as backstage brawls, fighting in the crowd, improved AI, and even the backstage brawls you can access just from in a match, whether it be False Count Anywhere or whatever. And also better universe and my career, and it all just makes this a truly great wrestling game. The reason it couldn't be higher was because of the ton of bugs it faced at release. Some features were damn near broken, but since then they have patched the game and made it much better. But let's just hope when 2K18 rolls around, when it comes out, it's just more playable than this was, because while it was good, it was like buggy as shit.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Dead by Daylight. Now, this is one I know a lot of people are going to disagree with because of the community it has and just some of the way the devs are and not listening and blah blah blah, but try and hear me out, okay? I've put over 200 hours into this game and haven't gotten bored of this formula. Other than slight bugs, the way it's built and its foundation is so good! Dead by Daylight is just a straight up fun-ass game. We had a lot of those this year, but this one still impressed me for just being just fun. Especially with all the features like Survive with Friends, Kill Your Friends, it's just fun. This is the best Survivor versus Killer game that I've ever seen, and like I said, just the pure amount of fun it is to pair up with friends and do Kill Your Friends, or maybe even Survive with Friends, make it worth that alone. I still do hope for some adjustments soon. Campers really ruin this game, same with trolls, but it's still fun enough to make it onto my list of the top 10 games of 2016.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Dying Light the Following. Now, this was on my list last year, but I'm going to count it even though it is a DLC, and I know what you're saying. You're like, it is a DLC, why would it be on the list? It is more than just a DLC. It's a whole new world where it's almost like a whole new story, too. You're still set in that setting with parkour and stuff, but it still feels like a whole new setting and a whole new game even. Like I said, the story just feels better and a little more interesting. It doesn't feel so, I don't know, cliche, like so repetitive like Dying Light felt like, because in the original Dying Light, it felt like you'd seen all that a million times, which you had. This one, it's a little bit different, and it's a little more easy to comprehend, and it's a little more different, which I like about it. The gameplay is still that good old Dying Light gameplay. They made the night mode better, made it actually more fearsome, and made it harder to just get between places at night, so it's actually much more terrifying. And the whole new game mechanic that was added, the Doom Buggy, which you have to get gas for, you can repair, you can, get a bunch of things on it, so it just made for a really cool experience. And by the way, that Doom Buggy is fun as hell.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Now, this is going to be a game you're not going to see on a lot of lists because a lot of people really didn't enjoy it. They said it was really bad, and, from what I've played of it, it's just so good. I've beat the story, I've done that, right? And honestly, if I have to say it, I personally think this game is underrated. Like, the story wasn't great, but it was fine. It was entertaining, and the set pieces that were in it were really fucking fun, and just the level design was so cool, and the setting, the graphics are amazing, and the parkour is the best parkour I've ever seen for first-person games ever. Hands down. So just like Dead by Daylight for me, it's also about just that fun element and how much fun Mirror's Edge was to play, how smooth it is, you know, how good it feels to, you know, pull off a really scary jump that you didn't think you were going to make, or even get to a point where you think you're going to fall and then you catch something. It's so cool and it's so well done that I really felt like I wanted to put this on the list. And with races and stuff that you can compete almost with friends that way, it made this a super fun experience, and one I think everyone should try, because like I said, it didn't get reviewed too well, and I still do kind of personally think it was underrated, so that's why it's on this list.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Watch Dogs 2. This is going to be one that I think some people are going to disagree with being so low on the list. A lot of people like the game and it was reviewed well, but maybe people don't think it's worth that number 6. Maybe they think it's near like a 9 or a 10, right? But I just gotta say that Watch Dogs 2 is so good. And it's so improved from what Watch Dogs 1 is. And Watch Dogs 1 was like my number 5 on my list in 2014, right? So I already enjoyed Watch Dogs 1 so much to put it really low on my last list. So Watch Dogs 2 has to make it here too, because it's just so improved. The incredible open world that's in it just has so much stuff to do. It feels so alive. It looks so good. It's just fun to drive around, run around in, and hack things with it. And that's another thing, just the hacking in this game is so improved. There's so much more options you can do with the hacking that it just adds so many ways to play the game that it always feels new and it always feels rich. Same with the gameplay. Even the stealth and the way they did that is just better. It's, in general, everything about Watch Dogs 2 is just better. I won't say the story is spectacular, but it's good for what it is, and it makes sense for a game like this. You know, it's not so revenge tale, whatever. And, you know, they really improved on making the characters likable, which is, you know, what everyone didn't really like about the first one, was that there was no character you really cared about. But these characters, you know, they seem more human, and I really like that about Watch Dogs 2. And I just really liked almost everything about Watch Dogs 2, so that's why it's on my list, and that's why it's probably on the list lower than you'll see it on other people's lists.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Battlefield 1. This is going to be a no-brainer. You're going to see this on a lot of lists, and rightfully so. The game is spectacular. Everything about it. How fun the gameplay is, you know. It is awesome when you're playing in multiplayer, and it still has that great old, you hear that one shot in the distance and then everything turns to hell. You know, that is so cool about this engine they've used for Battlefield 3, 4, and this. It's just awesome to play in this world. And with how good the graphics look, they really, really make you feel like you're in World War I. The way, you know, the explosions look, the way just the landscape looks. And some of the things they got from World War I are super accurate, and it just makes it feel that much more immersive. But god damn is this game beautiful. It is so good looking that it blew me away. In many games, I don't actually fully stop and look at how beautiful a game is. I'm just not like that, but this one I did. And while I haven't actually beat the stories are interesting. I like the way they did them. Some of them are better than others, for sure. But just the way they're built and stuff, I really enjoy the stories that are in the game. And the multiplayer is addicting as hell. The community on this game is actually better than what I've seen in most multiplayer games. They're really respectable. A lot of nice people you'll find on Battlefield 1 here. There are a couple things that they should tweak about multiplayer. I think the shotguns in multiplayer are ridiculously OP. They're just like fucking machines, and I don't really like that, but that's what it is in most games, right? Like, every game struggles on having shotguns that are actually leveled, like, good. And the maps, the progression, everything in multiplayer is good, just like everything in Battlefield 1 is good. So, I gotta put it on my list as number 5, Battlefield 1. You probably expected it.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, this game came out in 2015, technically. I know, but it really didn't hit its actual mark until this year. And it came out so late in 2015, what was it, like December 1st, that I'm going to just count it as 2016 because this was really its year. Rainbow Six Siege is so fun to play. I've said that so much on this list, you're probably getting sick of it, but this is the funnest game all year for me, entirely. It has to be, because, like, you think that a game like this would get repetitive after a while because, you know, there's not a ton of maps and, you know, maybe there could be more operators, right? But with how destructible and diversive the maps are, that it just makes it feel like there's like 30 maps, because every single match is different. The way it's played, the way you defend, the way you attack, everything is so cool, and there is that feeling to, you know, pick different operators, whereas most games it's like you find one operator or you find one character, you just keep playing it, right? You just want to keep playing, but there's reason to play as different people in this game. And, you know, while the microtransactions are shady and I really hate that about this game, I still can't deny the base foundation. Even if you don't get the season pass, which I have, I've got the year 2 and year 1, I still think this game is perfect with its gameplay. Not perfect in other stretches, but definitely perfect there. Like, the physics are just enjoyable as fuck. And you'll definitely be saying, you know what, I'll just have one more match, 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 I'll just have one more match. So many times that when you're playing it at like 10, you'll be like, oh, I'll just play till 12, and then you'll look at it, and you know what, it's 4 a.m. It's happened to me like 3 times now, so I had to put it on this list.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake up, wake me up inside. Save me.
Doom. Now, this is going to be one that I think will be a little bit higher on people's lists, but for me, this came close to being the game of the year. If it wasn't for another game that came out, this was going to be my number 2 spot. This really is the Doom we deserve. And like I've said it 1,000 times on this list, it's just ass-kicking fun. Not heavy on a story. It's, you know, a pretty repetitive story, but I fucking love the story mode. Just the fun of it is insane. Because like I said, this year we had so many just fun games, right? There should be a fun counter for any time I said fun, but for real, we've just had boatloads of just really, really fun games more than story heavy ones, and Doom really shines on that. It's perfect for the way that it is. You wouldn't expect it in a game like this, but there's actually a ton of replay value. When I was finished, I wanted to go back because you can keep the weapons you get in. So when you go to level 1 and you have like these great weapons, it's just fun to just destroy the NPCs with just these super high level weapons. And I've replayed this game 4 times now, and I was actually thinking about going back again because it is great. The multiplayer definitely wasn't the biggest, you know, shine of this game, but I liked it more than a lot of people did like it. I really liked the multiplayer. The multiplayer is really fun. The progression is super good. There's so much customization that, you know, it's hard to keep up with how much customization there is. So I really, really, really like this multiplayer, whereas a lot of people said this was like the biggest weak point of the game. I don't even think so. I love the multiplayer. So if you haven't picked up Doom, you should really pick up Doom. It's worth your time. It's great. It's so much fun. Do it.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside. Save me.
Dishonored 2. I don't know if you've been expecting this, because I've really never talked about this game, whereas most games on this list I've talked about or I've played, right? But this one kind of came out of nowhere, and I really didn't expect it to be as good as it was, because Dishonored 1 I liked, but I never actually ended up beating, just because, I don't know, there's something about it that didn't grip me as much as it was gripping other people. But Dishonored 2 I fell in love with. I currently have, 6 playthroughs on this game that I've done. It's because of just the way the game feels, and the fact that you can play as 2 different protagonists, Emily Caldwin or Corvo Atano, the guy from the first game, right? So there's so much replay value with the collectibles and everything that it's made me come back for so many playthroughs. And it's just such an interesting and well-built world. The story is gripping. It may not be incredible, but it's really, really good. They've really improved on this gameplay, whereas when you're playing as Corvo, it does kind of feel same old to Dishonored 1, but when you're playing as Emily and you find, you know, these new abilities that weren't in Dishonored 1, you can just tell how much they've really improved the gameplay and made it better for people who don't want to kill, whereas, you know, I just go all out and I just fucking kill people. The characters in this one are definitely more interesting. There's a bigger lineup of characters in this one than the first one. And like I said about those kills, they look fucking phenomenal.
Traitor.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside.
It's probably no surprise, Uncharted 4 is my game of the year. You know, closing off one of your most successful series takes guts, but that's what Naughty Dog did, and they did it perfectly. Which, again, you probably all saw this coming from how much I've played this game, but for Nathan Drake's final adventure, they couldn't have done it better. Seriously. The characters feel just more alive, they feel more real, there's real stakes in this game, and you really, you know, feel everything you're doing is a consequence, and I love that about this game. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure this is the best looking game I have ever seen, and it's on PS4. The detail in this world is absolutely incredible. The gameplay is some of the funnest, which, me saying fun again, but seriously, the gameplay in this is really similar to all the other Uncharted's, but it just feels better, and that's because Naughty Dog has taken so long with this game to make it and just make it the perfect game that it is. Yes, okay, maybe perfect's a stretch. There are some things about it, like the microtransactions and multiplayer, little shady, but I really think that the gameplay they did here is so good. I love the small stealth aspect of it, which, sure, it's very basic, but I just like that there was a little more choice this time, you know? Bigger areas that you can kind of choose your path in. You always are going to the same objective, but you still have this bigger area. And the fun set pieces and the all-out shooting that follows is great, too. Like I said earlier, the story just feels richer and more human than ever. If you have a PS4 and you haven't picked up Uncharted 4, you need to. This is a must-own game for anyone who owns a PS4, and it just, all of this makes for an incredible experience to play, and that's why you need to own Uncharted 4, and that's why it's my game of the year. So yeah, that's my top 10 game of the year list. It was a really, really, really good year for games this year. There's a bunch of games that I probably didn't put on here that a lot of people are thinking about, like Final Fantasy 15. I never played it, honestly. I wasn't really hyped up for it in the first place. I don't really care for that. And there's a lot of other games that I didn't get around to playing, but these are just my top 10 favorite. And there's going to be some you don't agree with. I know Mirror's Edge and Dead by Daylight are probably like the ones you're probably like about the most. But whatever. That was my personal opinion, right? And that's what I think are my favorite games of the year. That's what I know are my favorite games of the year, actually. And yeah, nonetheless, stay tuned for the top 10 worst games of 2016, which is a total spin around from what this is. And it won't be so positive, but it's going to be a little harder picking up my worst games for the year, for this year, because 2015 has some fucking bad games. This year, there hasn't been a ton of things that I've played that are actually really bad, so that's a really good thing. And nonetheless, I'll see you all in another video. And Mr. Froggy is out there. Yeah. Today we're looking at the top 10 best games of 2015. I'm a little bit late on this list, so forgive me. But you know what? We're doing it anyway because I did it last year.